Hi, love. It's Lindsay Landry, intuitive heart shaman and mentor for healers and soul centered women leaders who are really ready to open their hearts, connect to their essence, their soul, and deepen their capacity for intimacy and the success that they're deeply desiring. So today, what I desire to talk with you about is untangling energy around giving and receiving. I've been feeling these threads this week and it feels really potent. Um, I feel like there's such a lush love, a divine love that is present right now. And when we are ready and available to open our hearts, there's so much grace and so much love that is wanting to flow to us and through us. Abundance, truly. And so whether you are desiring to be seen, be seen by the people in your life, whether it's your partner, maybe it's being seen in the online space. Um, Maybe you are desiring to receive money, or to just, be loved, to be met. Whatever you are desiring right now, this is for you. So I want to just invite us to get present. You might put one hand on your heart, one on your belly or your womb space, and just take a couple deep breaths. Just notice how you're feeling as you arrive here. Maybe you have an intention already. Maybe you're wanting to receive more money, or maybe you're like, yes, my relationship, right? I'm like ready to give and receive. Like I want more exchange. Whatever is forward for you, just presencing yourself with it. You can feel it in your body and notice where you're feeling it. Notice how you're feeling physically, energetically, emotionally. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, so I just want to begin with just this prayer that's moving through me. And your heart is beautiful. Your heart is beautiful. The authentic expression of your heart, it is a place where you and others can meet the divine. Truly. When you allow yourself to tap in to that place within yourself, the depths of your heart, and then when you allow that expression to move through you, you truly are giving other people a gift. You're giving them the divine touch. You're giving them a divine kiss, a divine nudge, a loving boundary. It could show up in all sorts of ways. An activation, an initiation, an invitation. You're being a vessel for the divine when you allow yourself to express from that place. And there's also this place where our humanness, our human expression, and this divine expression, they meet, they come together. And there is a level of consciousness that this takes. I truly do believe that. A level of awareness, a level of consciousness. And yet at the same time, there's a way that when we fully trust our heart and what's moving through us, I believe that it's for everyone. So even if it's an emotion that makes someone comfortable, in the last video that I recorded, I talked about finding the power in your feelings and processing your feelings. So if you know that you are uncomfortable feeling your emotions, or you feel like your emotions are like a big trigger for other people, you might want to visit that. Oh goodness, the cats are being a little crazy. It's almost their food time, so I apologize. And we'll just receive the medicine. Emotions, right? Emotions are an activation, an invitation. And they can be playful as well, right? It doesn't have to be, sometimes it's just the way that energy is moving. It's feelings, right? It's energy in motion, just moving through. So, yeah, when we can connect back to the innocence of that, of the expression of what's wanting to move through, and then it's like we're really the vessel for it. We really can begin to hone in on our unique tone, our unique note, the energy that is desiring to create through us as an individual. And I'm going to be talking about this more probably in upcoming videos and emails. So if you're not on my email, definitely join. I'll put the link in the comments of the YouTube. Yeah, so when we have all this confusion energetically, so it's not, I'm not talking about mental confusion. Yes, there are little threads of the mind, but this is like such an energetic thing that I'm talking about. When we have this confusion about giving and receiving, and it's like this old wiring in our system, and you know what I was feeling in my own heart is like it felt knotted. You know, it felt like it was all tangled and knotted, and I could feel how that knotted energy, not only does it keep me, but also us as a collective from truly expressing our unique truth, it keeps us from receiving the thing that we're really desiring too. You know, it's like a lose-lose, because we're not, our heart isn't open to be able to be met. So it's like we have these deep yearnings, these deep longings, these deep desires, and yet it's like at the center of all that tangled energy. So even when someone's trying to meet us and give to us, right, it hits the tangled energy. It's painful. Ugh, I can feel it in the back of my heart right now. If you're noticing it, if you're feeling it moving through you, I just invite you to just take a few breaths right here and just acknowledge it. Just feel the discomfort, the agony of like, yeah, it's this old programming, this old linear structure, you know, untruth. So when we connect back to this concept of divine love, and we really allow ourselves to begin to open to that, this unconditional love. And I like to think of, I told one of my friends this a couple days ago, dogs. Dogs, they are so good at unconditional love, and I truly believe that they teach us how to love unconditionally. So you can think of a dog, you know, no matter what, it's there, it's loyal, it loves you unconditionally. Sometimes they get upset, right? But they still love you. They give you the puppy dog eyes and they still love you so much. It's this unconditional love. Nature is so unconditional. Sometimes we have fires, sometimes we have earthquakes, sometimes we have hurricanes, and yet it just is what it is. It's not because we did anything wrong. It's not because we did something right. It just is. I saw, I went walk at the levee this morning, the Mississippi. I really enjoy going there because I can feel the feminine of the Mississippi River, and I honor it and respect it. And on the way there, right outside of my neighborhood, I saw there was a dead cat and there was vultures eating it. Very unconditional love. Death and life in one little moment. None of it is being judged. It just is what it is. And so, yeah, there's, these old wires around giving and receiving that keep us from this place of unconditional love, and also keep us from this unconditional place of like life loving us, receiving that unconditional love. Not because you did anything perfect, not because you did anything right, but just because you are. Just breathing. Yeah, just take a moment and just feel that. Breathe it in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there, like I can feel it in this moment. There's a touch. So when we really allow ourselves to breathe that in, like I can feel myself being touched. If you can't feel that, sometimes we feel ourselves being touched on the edge, right? So it actually like we feel the touch through our resistance. But even your resistance can show you like, oh, I'm resisting something, right? So there's like a touch that you're resisting. And we don't have to make your system wrong, right? Because it's unconditional. So even if you're resisting, you're still being loved unconditionally. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank God. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it was interesting because the past couple of days I've been getting this initiation around unconditional love. Oh my God, I might cry. And this all came about through something that I was guided to do. And I was guided to speak some truth to an old friend who I hadn't talked to in years. And we have been in connection, and there was some things that we were kind of avoiding, like talking about, and I could feel them in the field. And I was a little afraid I was really afraid. I was really afraid to address them. And at the same time, what I noticed is this way that I wasn't able to fully express myself, and I noticed the way that my energy was coming out sideways and kind of wonky, and I was showing up more insecure than I wanted to. And I wrote a letter and I really prayed about it. I prayed. And, I really sat with this for a long time because, I was waiting for some like strong push or pulse to like move me into the expression, or to give me permission to express, right? Or tell me like it's time to say something or do something, or like it's okay for you to reach out and do this thing. And I also found myself in this place of like really like looking at And I've done this in my business too. So like how we do one thing, we do all things. And so I'm sharing this about, you know, a relationship, but that relationship is also showing me how I've been in relationship to my business and my work and this pulse that's wanting to move through me, right? It's kind of been, I've been in a conditional relationship with it. I've been wanting it to do a certain thing for me or show up a certain way for me, right? For me to then do a thing for it. And, um, yeah, so, you know, with my business, I've, you know, noticed like all these boxes of like, oh, well, I don't know if I should take action. Maybe it's not time, or waiting like for the impulse, waiting for the permission, like from spirit, from, you know, God, like for the sign. And I finally got to this place of just actually my body was showing me. I've been in this deep process of like connecting back to my body and really listening to my body, letting it speak to me. And that was my body was my initiation into healing work when I was 13 years old. And I truly believe, you know, our body has so much wisdom. And my body started to show me. I started to have cracks on my lips and my stomach, you know, I was retaining fluid. My stomach was hurting and I wasn't digesting very easily, you know, and I could feel the knot in my belly, like trying to analyze, trying to digest, trying to process. And so finally, you know, I got to this place where I was like, okay, I need to just speak the truth. And I did. And I made the decision. I was doing it unconditionally for me. And that's it. I was doing this for me because I needed to do it. And what I noticed is so much energy started to come into my heart. And then the next day, I started receiving all these transmissions around unconditional love. Truly, like the divine started to pour into me, this divine grace. And I started to really feel the innocence of my own heart. And yeah, I want to just take a breath here so I can kind of feel where we're going. Whew. Yeah, and it can be a lot. It can be intense for me. And that's really what I've been seeing. This energy that desires to move through me sometimes is intense for me in the humanness. I don't know how people are going to receive it, how they're going to feel it, what it's going to activate for them, right? And so, again, this can be the same thing with business, like taking on new clients or offering something. Like, I don't know how people are going to receive it. And there's a way that I can feel the old places in my nervous system are kind of like, you know, it's like I can feel my nervous system like on edge of not knowing how I'm going to be received or if I'm going to be received. And so then I can breathe into that, like, oh, well, can I just receive myself? Do I need to be received by the outside world? Because that's conditional. And, you know, I feel like in business, I was having this conversation with a friend last night, and she was, you know, she's a 6-figure coach, and she has clients that are doing pretty well as well. And, you know, one of her clients was kind of struggling, and she's been putting herself out there and having a lot of anger. And it kind of stirred this in me of like the ways that we think because we're putting something out there, like we should be getting something in return. Notice, you know, what this is bringing forward for you. I invite you to breathe into it, feel what you're feeling in your body. And this is also like the old law of attraction, the old vortex things, right? Like you do an aligned action, you get something. And the truth is, we do, right? We're always receiving feedback and information from the universe. Always. It might not be like what we want, or, maybe we're in the resistance and it's touching us and it's creating more resistance, which is okay. We don't, again, if we go back to the unconditional, it's touching us. It is giving to us. And, it's these old pathways of like this directional exchange that our system is desiring or looking for. And when I started to feel into this knot, that's what I was noticing. It's like, okay, if I'm giving to you, then wanting you to give to me, right? So whether it's you liking my video or giving me feedback or telling me, oh my God, that really supported me and helped me. Thank you. Right? It's like there's a part of us or this old wiring which is like looking for that direct exchange. And the truth is, when we allow that to open, right? So we go to that place of unconditional. I am giving because I like the way it makes me feel. There is pleasure for me in giving. And that was, when I ended up doing this, like reaching out to that friend, I felt my heart, right? And then I received my own heart transmissions through giving unconditionally, not needing anything in return. I invite you just to take a breath. Notice what you're feeling in your body. Notice what this is stirring for you, activating for you. Can you let this land? Even one drop. And your mind doesn't have to understand. You can just let the places in your body that already know this. Our breath, it's breathing for us all the time. Our lungs, not because we're doing something for it, right? Our digestive system, it's breaking down our food, not because we're doing something for it. We're not thinking about it. We're not consciously tending it. I mean, unless you are, but that's a whole different thing. Our body is constantly giving to us our saliva, right? It's like I can feel my body producing fluids, not because I'm doing anything, just because it's supporting me. Mm-hmm. And so this morning I've been feeling this pulse, like my heart has just been desiring to give. And I have kind of made that wrong, and I've been looking at this because, there's all these like feminine teachings around receiving. The feminine receives and the masculine gives, right? And we should lean back again, like this is kind of how it was in my system. So I'm not necessarily saying this is a specific teaching, but I feel these threads around this. So like you should lean back, right, until you're like, you have permission to give or until somebody invites you to give. That's a human design thing in some of our makeups. Yeah, so there's all these like these concepts I can feel around giving and receiving and masculine, feminine. And I could feel the ways that it was kind of keeping me stuck, right? It's conditional. It's like a system. And I've been feeling this impulse, like wanting to just reach out to some people and like really from the bottom of my heart, share with them like how they've impacted my life. And so this morning after my walk, I actually reached out to someone and I did ceremony with her, I think 3 years ago, and I still have been feeling her touching me, you know, and I've been drinking in the medicine of that experience with her. And I reached out to her, and immediately after, I could feel the knot in my heart. And so I really let myself just breathe into it and feel these different threads of all these places where we make our unconditional giving wrong, right? Or we go into contraction around the innocence of our heart. And that then can block us from the unconditional receiving. And so, what I'm noticing is after that experience of reaching out to her, I was breathing through this, right? And one of my friends actually messaged me and she asked me how my heart was. And what that moment sort of like, I could feel the respiration in my system and the remembering of, oh, multidimensional giving and receiving. When we open our hearts to this unconditional love, of course, our mind wants to know, wants to track, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this thing in my business, or, oh, I'm doing this thing. Like, I want it to then have this result. But when we can open ourselves to that multidimensionality, we get to receive from all directions, right? So I want to just invite you to breathe that in. It can be yummier than you've ever imagined. So maybe you're doing a thing in your business because you want money, and money shows up in a totally different way than you've ever imagined. Maybe you are having to homeschool your kids right now. And so you're giving, but all of your giving is going to your kids and you're not able to show up in your business. And so there might be like some old rust of sorts around feeling like you can't receive, like, or you're not receiving for you, right? What if you could receive in ways that your mind has no idea what is even possible? Just see if you could just breathe in and like imagine little, what I was seeing is like if you have these little flowers, you know, like the ones that close at night. And then when the sun begins to hit them, they open. Like imagine just being able to begin to shine some light on those little receiving receptacles. Yeah, just breathing, letting the dust, the rust just kind of scuff off. Hmm. Notice how it's feeling in your body. So opening these multi dimensions of being able to receive. Yeah, and just see, if you can actually taste your own heart in this as the energy begins to flow. Just see, like if it's moving quickly, just see if you can stretch it out, slow it down, give it space to where you can get a little more intimate with it. Notice the qualities. What does it feel like? Is it soft? Is it sweet? Is it direct? Is it gritty? Earthy? Hmm. Hmm. Yesterday I received a reflection that I was living, breathing magic and prayer. And I felt it touch a place so deep within my heart. Yeah, it's my home note. It is part of my heart frequency. So just as you begin to expand this capacity, giving and receiving unconditionally, opening these receptors for unconditional receiving, unconditional giving, exchanging with life rather than one specific person. You get to begin to taste your own flavors, honing in on your unique note, your unique melody. What I was seeing this morning, like what I was feeling for myself is the more I'm feeling my own energy and this channel of energy that is like really I'm co-creating with, um, I can then really begin to turn my devotion towards myself, towards my own heart, towards my own life force. Um, yeah, so I'll be talking about that more because I really am feeling called to do this work with clients and to facilitate this work for clients. So, yes, it's yummy. So if you're feeling called to that, please reach out to me. I have 4 spots for one-on-one deep dive mentoring, 3 to 6 months. And yeah, that also gives you invitations to do ceremonial work with me as well. So if you're feeling called, please reach out to me and we can talk more about how we can play together. And of course, I'd also love to just hear, how this is landing for you. What are you noticing through this transmission? Please share, in the comments, in the Facebook group, Rise Together community, wherever, wherever you feel guided, reply to my email. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm sending you so much love and I'll see you again soon.